We always have to guess if the music's really playing. Or at least I have to in the studio. Good evening, Internet! You are watching the Non-Pro TV Party Arrow and the Flash recap show. I'm your host, Frank, joined not at all in studio by Joe and James. Hi, Joe and James.
Hi,
Hello.
Frank.
On Non-Pro's TV Party, we do a live Google Plus Hangout series where we geek out about our favorite television shows and invite you all to join along. We're not just recapping TV, we are pretty much late to the party regarding it.
Huh?
So we're basically this next, however, about a half hour or so, we're going to be talking about the Arrow Season 3 and Flash Season 1 finales. But really, we're going to be talking about the entire series of both shows, and Arrow has been on for 3 years. So yeah, we are way late to the party about this. I apologize in advance. James, how long have you been watching Arrow and The Flash?
I started watching Arrow from the beginning when it came on. I've been a big CW guy because I like Supernatural and, I don't know.
Judge down on you so
Veronica
hard.
Mars, Buffy, anything with the teen spin on it sounds good to me because, I wish I was back in high school. But, yeah.
You just kept
No.
going down.
I started at the beginning.
You started in high school.
No, I didn't start Arrow in high school. It wasn't on when I was in high school. I mean, I started at the beginning of Arrow.
All right, good. Joe, how about you? Have you been watching both series from the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I have not. I only started watching. Obviously, Flash only came out this year, but Arrow, I think I started watching it during the Christmas break
Unless
or
you count
something.
the 90s Flash.
Oh, yo, I definitely watched the '90s Flash, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think Arrow I watched in Christmas break. Like I marathoned it. I think it was on Netflix, and our co-host who couldn't be here this week, Ken, got me the DVD box set to try to hook me into the show because he was so desperate for us to talk about it. And Arrow Season 1 was amazing. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I honestly think it was. What do you guys think about the first season of Arrow? Because I'm not alone in that opinion, but I'm not everyone agrees.
Season 1 is my least favorite season.
I don't get that.
Because it's the Punisher. He's just the Punisher, and I don't care about the Punisher. Green Arrow is supposed to be a superhero. I want him to act like a superhero instead of murdering everyone he comes across.
It's a good point. So, full disclosure, I wasn't like the most amount of relationship I've had with Green Arrow. The most I followed it was probably the DCU. Like I think in Justice League Unlimited, he was a main character. So I picked up on he's kind of Batman.
Oh,
Punisher,
the story about this show is they wanted to make Batman, but they weren't allowed. So they said, all right, well, just make Green Arrow and make him Batman.
Just Control-H, Control-R, replace everything.
Yeah, except, well, he's got a bow and arrow so he can kill people in this first season. Make it, dark and gritty.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Arrow Season 1 too. I guess I have the same thing with Frank. I didn't know anything about Green Arrow other than a couple of crossovers in Batman comics and the DC universe. So I wasn't that was the big thing. Al and I always talked about it. Oh, the show's garbage. He's not Green Arrow, and I'm like, I can't speak to that. I think the show's being well written and surprisingly interesting, and it's doing good with the twists and turns. So I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just certainly respect that. Maybe it's not the Green Arrow he was looking for, but I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. I don't follow Green Arrow in the comics. I know he's very left-wing in the comics, and that's all great for the comics, and he's sort of that way in the DC animated universe. Thus far, my favorite Green Arrow appearance is probably Batman Brave and the Bold, where he's much more antagonistic with Batman. He's much more like a much bigger rivalry, and he's very clearly a knockoff of Batman in that show because he's got the Arrow Cave and the Arrow car.
They were predicting the future is what they were doing. They knew.
But still, the whole thing is no, he's supposed to be a hero, and he's not. He's just being a vigilante. Hence why they call him the Vigilante. Right.
Now, what I liked about the beginning of and I'll agree with all of that. It may not be accurate. By the way, we're probably James and I, at least in this scenario, are the geeks that other geeks hate. The ones who are like, you're not giving us this isn't the Superman I wanted, you know, that kind of thing. But putting that aside, I get it. Some people thought maybe he wasn't the Green Arrow they wanted, or the vigilante aspect, which they've certainly dealt with in the last 2 years. But things I did like about it was the verisimilitude, right? So you can see this really happening. But at the same time, it wasn't necessarily Batman Begins. It was just pretty, like, it seemed realistic and achievable, which was a good way to them to start the idea of a DC Universe live action, weekly, you know, bring these characters to home. I also liked the filmmaking, the acting, and the writing. I mean, the flashback sequences to the island were just well-framed, well-focused stories. Perfect. Then
I'm going to say, I'm going to say the island stuff is probably one of my favorite parts, but I also really enjoyed Manu Bennett in the show, so that really hooked me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the only problem I had with season 1 was him killing people. Everything else was amazing.
Right, and it certainly built towards that being a problem in universe.
Yeah.
When you get to season 2 and eventually in 3 as well, started getting better superhero stories from him. Like, he was facing villains that looked like the villains. You got like hat tips to what is that group of villains that are heroes?
Villains. Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. I totally blanked. Yes, Suicide Squad. So you got them introduced.
It wasn't nods. It was just blatant. No, we're the Suicide Squad.
At one point, they were like, "This isn't a thing. This is a Suicide Squad," and I was like, "You said the name."
Yeah, plus the Harley Quinn cameo. It was great.
Oh, there was a Harley. I didn't even know there was a Harley Quinn cameo.
Oh, man.
That's cool. So I think Suicide Squad was named before Cisco. We'll get to Cisco. He's the best character in the DCU.
Vibe's great.
Yeah. Yes, we so like the story started getting a little bit more superhero-y, but they also started getting more convoluted, and the stories did not match up as well. I feel like in later seasons, Arrow into let's talk about the third season. A lot of my problems with it is that the character motivations are not clear. A lot of times people will act in ways which puts them in situations where more drama can happen, but they don't act. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't follow with what a logical person would be doing.
Okay, season 3 is kind of a mess. It's like everybody rolls a 6 on like an Apocalypse World game. It's like, no, we're gonna keep all this information secret for no real reason.
Yes.
Just because it's what we keep doing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it keeps biting us in the ass.
So let's do it again.
Right. And a big part of season 2 was like that. I'm sorry, James, what were you saying?
I'm going to say I think I have more of a problem with that in season 2 than I do in season 3. I feel like in season 3, despite the fact that it was a little melodrama-y, as I like to call it, a little over the top. At least for me, it felt pretty consistent. Like the characters tended to act the way their melodrama selves did consistently.
They're soap opera characters stuck with it.
Yeah, I felt like they stuck with it. I feel like for me in season 2, we did a lot of the characters were like, I'm doing this today, I'm doing this today, I'm doing this today.
I'm going to be mayor.
Yeah, that whole storyline.
Killed 500 people, like almost on trial for murder and terrorism, and then one day it's like, I'm going to be mayor. Yeah, sure, that sounds reasonable.
One of the craziest things about season 2 is I really, really liked it. Like I was like hooked, like the first wave through when I was watching it week to week to week to week. And then I went back and watched a couple of my more favorite parts of the arcs a couple of weeks ago before we were about to do this. And some things stuck out to me more as being like, oh, well, I feel like that's really heel-turny as compared to like when I watched it the first time through, and it was like, that's normal, right? Because I'd kind of, only remembered slightly what happened last week. I only remembered the parts I wanted to.
That's a good point. Maybe I'm being too hard on it because I binge watched it.
Or
and I picked
maybe
up more on like, why are you doing this?
Maybe I liked it more the first time around because I watched it traditionally, but I don't think that's necessarily one way or the other. Like, like binge watching is just a way we watch TV now. It's kind of got to hold up both ways, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that's not a defense. So let's concentrating on things that are still fresh in our heads. Here's some stuff that there was a lot I liked about Arrow Season 3, and honestly, I feel like it got a little bit better. I feel like they started getting ground, but they really were trying to get to a point that they may or may not have reached. But here's some issues. So first of all, the entire...
Can we talk about the things we liked first?
Oh, well, okay. I guess this is what yes, talk about some of the things you like. Because my first issue, I'll go first just because I screwed that up. Ollie and Ray were great. I liked them. I thought they were kind of cute. It seemed a little sudden, but it was kind of cute. And the reason why I said it was a problem was just because I think... did I say Ollie and Ray?
Yeah.
You have revealed my...
Wow, Frank.
I was like, okay.
Before it was ready. Oh my God. No one's gonna read my /fic now. I meant Felicity and Ray. Although Ollie and Ray was kind of fun.
Yeah, with the brief interactions, they were kind of like, hey, dude.
Yeah, but Ollie kept swallowing his rage. But Ollie and Felicity, I felt like they had no romantic chemistry at all.
Oh, no. No. Like, Ray and Felicity were great and wonderful. Like, if I couldn't have Felicity and Barry, I was like, all right, Felicity and Ray. I'm like, ugh, Ollie, ugh.
I agreed, yes. All right, James, do you have something good you wanna bring up that's pure good?
I thought the addition of Ray Palmer and his character and his actor, great job. I loved him pretty much all the way through.
I love the fact that Superman is our Adam.
Yeah, like,
right? Yeah.
I hear the complaints that it's like, well, he's supposed to be Ted Kord. I'm like, who cares? It's still fun. But
yeah.
I love Ray Palmer and all of the Flash crossovers. I mean, those were like my highlight episodes whenever Barry shows up.
Yeah. I cheered hardest when Flash entered the story. It seemed like the most fun, and I feel like because he brought with him some sort of hope in every time he shows up, and there was a lot of glumness that attached itself. James, do you have any other things you want to bring up?
Trying to think. Other stuff I liked. I've always liked Nessa. Nessa?
Yeah, Nessa, I think it is.
So I liked because of the Ra's al Ghul storyline that we got to see more of her. I've always been a fan of her character. I like that we got the this season we got the even though it was just a gag in one episode, didn't we get the punching arrow, the boxing glove arrow?
Oh yeah,
right?
With Wildcat.
Yeah, that was
great.
That was hokey but fun.
I threw my hands up in joy at that.
And I liked that in the finale that looks like next season we're gonna have Ollie's sister as Speedy. I've been wanting that since he called her Speedy in season 1. I'd be like, that'd be so cool to gender swap that character and make her so I'm excited that we're gonna have some of that.
Speedy was eventually a girl in the comics.
Was she?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know much about Arrow. I know Speedy from...
I think her name was Mia Dearden, and she was like a former prostitute that Ollie took under his wing.
Okay, well, this sounds a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Well, her story was much more tragic in the comics.
Yeah. So... There's a lot, and I'm going to get back to Ollie and Felicity because I feel like if people are watching this, they're going to want to scream more about that, and that's fair. But there's a lot of interesting things. I feel like the B plot, the Hong Kong B plot in season 3, while kind of frustrating, did eventually go somewhere, and I do enjoy that. That scene in the finale, I think, where Ollie tortures Mark Singer. I don't remember the character's name. I just know it was the Beastmaster.
It was Shri.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, so he's torturing him for no reason. Like he's not trying to get information out of him. He's just torturing him for no reason, releasing this disease. What was the U.S. Army doing releasing that disease? We just hate Hong Kong. Was that it?
I think. Well, it was just his personal goal to start do this whole thing and like create chaos or whatever, start a war.
Yeah, like again, this is a minor point because he's a minor character, but I feel like a lot of characters have that, where they're just like, my motivation is reasons.
Yeah, I just wish they hadn't used Shreve for that, because I was like, does this mean they're going to introduce the creature commandos? Because that'd be insane. But no.
No, can't afford the budget. We can't even afford the budget to break windshields of cars. People shoot at them.
They have a flying man. I'm pretty sure they can afford that.
They had, so basically, like, the island thing actually eventually went there, and that scene where he's torturing the general and then eventually decides, or he doesn't, he says the line, he has failed the city. And I'm like, that's the line! He says it for the first time! Good! The origin of the line. That was cool. There's some fan service that Arrow still manages to pull off that's really great. Again, I loved Ray. I watched Arrow with a bunch of novices. I tend to watch all these shows with a group of really old novices, my parents. I hook them on all this genre TV. So I go over to their place occasionally. That's why I binge it, because I can't watch it every week. Go over to their place, I put it on, and the best things come out of their mouths. They were convinced that Ray Palmer was a bad guy. Because he was moving in on Felicity.
He kind of comes in with that traditional movie bad guy thing. Comes in, buys out the hero's company. I mean,
exactly.
I see where they're coming from.
He pretty much pulls the Lex Luthor type shit.
Yeah.
He came off really as a bad guy. And when he, I guess, doesn't succeed and he doesn't become, he isn't a bad guy, my parents are just, like, in love. They were like, oh, good, we're so glad he was a good person. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. They also were pretty much convinced that Alfred did it, that Alfred killed. I've said this before. It's my favorite story. They think that Alfred killed
the Waynes'
parents. Yeah. He's a butler. Of course he did it. So, all right. Here's another unpopular opinion. I like the way Laurel kind of transitioned into the Black Canary, because I really didn't like Sarah as Black Canary. There's something about the way her role was portrayed, how ridiculous and goofy it was, how it was tied into the League of Shadows or League of Assassins. It just all seemed so forced. That her sister failing miserably at trying to be Black Canary constantly was endearing. And I was like, okay, I could see this person trying to become a hero.
I'll jump in there. One of the things when I did my rewatch of the couple episodes of season 2, I don't have the Sarah hate like you do. I really like Sarah. I feel like her and Ollie and the way things were, it's one of the few things in the show in season 2 that I thought actually made sense. That being said, I did like seeing Laurel transition to Black Canary, because, gosh, anything is better than her drunk storyline. That was just such a waste. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I thought it was okay. I love her relationship with her father and how it went sour. And that crossover episode where the two detective dads were talking.
That was good. I'm talking about, like, her I'm an alcoholic season 2 storyline.
Yeah. I enjoyed Sarah's Black Canary more so than I enjoyed Laurel, but I enjoyed, like, seeing her grow basically, and, like, finally get training from people. It was like, Ollie, she's not gonna give up, just train her. Just train her. Yeah, I mean, unless you want to see her dead. Also, just stop calling her Laurel. Just call her Dinah. I mean, I guess it's nice that we don't. Plus, we got to see the Canary Cry invented. So already, I'm like, yes, sold.
Yeah. I was on it for the invention of the Canary Cry. Yeah, I feel like there's still something weird that's happening with Arrow that Flash avoided completely, which is the acknowledging that you're a superhero show. Like, it's still a problem for them.
Yeah.
If they don't start season 4 of Arrow, which I believe they did get, they have a season 4 confirmed.
Yeah.
Even though the finale very much looked like I am Iron Man no more, like driving off and having fun. It better be like, I'm Green Arrow, I have a wicked beard that I put beard wax in, mustache wax and the whole deal, and I'm enjoying it. He better have a boxing glove on an arrow.
I mean, and, like, this was an idea I had because, like, everybody suspects Ollie, but now it's Roy. He was clearly the Arrow. Just put on a fake beard. Just put on a fake beard as your disguise.
It will baffle everyone. Again, season 1, if you watch season 1 of Arrow, they film it so that you can't quite see Ollie when he's being Arrow, by the time you get to season 2, they're just like, it's all stage whispers. The actors are forced to like, who is that masked man? It's like, he's lit as well as you are. You can see it.
At least he has a mask and he stopped wearing mascara.
That is true.
Thank you, Barry.
I think we would be remiss. We have to talk a little bit about the League of Shadows, League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul, and Malcolm Merlyn. Leading with a positive, I actually think the guy who played Ra's al Ghul did a good job almost consistently through. I think eventually he had a lot of weird lines and motivations that made it a little difficult. If you're going to reinvent Ra's al Ghul, I think they did a pretty good job with it.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him. Yeah, he was fine. Like, look, the storyline as a whole was like weird, but like they set it up in season 2, so I was okay with it. And then going back to the Hong Kong thing, because I didn't get to I enjoyed the Hong Kong stuff, if only because they set up in season 1 or season 2 that Oliver knows Amanda Waller, but they never say how he knows Amanda Waller. He just goes to her, and they're like, where did this relationship come from? So it was nice to see that pay off.
That's a good point. I want to just take a minute to talk about that. So, I mean, yes, they do some legwork. Season 1, they say, I know Amanda Waller, and also, clearly I learned Russian at some point. I've had experiences probably outside the island. Great. But the way they deal with that, how they bring him off the island onto Hong Kong, is he's kidnapped by Amanda Waller for reasons.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
Something special behind his eye. It's so hacked. It's just it's so lazy. They could have put a little bit more effort into why these things happen, and that haunts the entire series, I think. When you look at Malcolm or let's say Thea, so Thea and Malcolm have a really interesting relationship in the later part of season 3, where she hates him and can't trust him, but needs to rely on him. Getting to that point was kind of crazy. Yes, end of season 2 made sense. There was, she was being attacked and he saved her, and her mother was just killed. But there seems to be what would your reason as an adult, as a grown-ass person, to find out that, apparently I have a different biological father who also is a terrorist, who killed hundreds of people and blackmailed my mother and killed my actual man who raised me father. I guess I'll go with him to be raised on an island to learn martial arts. It's so extreme.
Bad choices.
Yeah, it's extreme. It's not like giving justice to the character. You're making them do things to put them in a situation, and it's not hard, because once you reveal that she's been brainwashed by some herbal tea, I'm like, all right, fine. I believe it. I'm easy to please. Just put a little bit of effort in.
I think most of the problem with that is whatever reasoning we would have gotten happens in that off season. When we come back, Thea completely trusts Malcolm, and assumably it's not just because of that one time he rescued her. That was maybe a relationship of convenience. I need to get out of here because the city's falling, crumbling, whatever. But they don't show it. Arrow does a lot of. Arrow does I think you said Arrow does one thing really well, and then one thing it doesn't do so well is the thing it does really well is it lays all these little seeds. How does he know Russian? How does he know Amanda Waller? All that sort of stuff. But I think Arrow also does a lot of, despite the fact that it shows us a lot of that stuff, it leaves a lot of stuff off, to be part of a reveal, but then doesn't necessarily go back and clean that up.
I think even sometimes it just doesn't care. For example, these seem like niggling things, but it's only because I started taking notes recently. So Mark Singer has a little thing of insulin that he keeps in a safe, unmarked, so that he can fake out for a commercial break whether he has a cure for the disease. Why would you have that in your
That's where I keep all my insulin.
Yeah.
Keep your unmarked insulin.
Don't you keep it refrigerated? Is that a refrigerator? Why? I guess if
he didn't. It wasn't in the safe. He pointed to a refrigerator, right?
No,
I thought it wasn't in the safe.
It was
in a safe.
To the safe.
It could have been a refrigerated safe because
it's still unmarked bottles of insulin in a foam case. And then later on in the episode where Ra's al Ghul is trying to destroy the city, There's the first guy they thought was trying to release the toxin. He has a suitcase, and that's one of the reasons why Dig follows him. But the suitcase is also empty. So why even carry a suitcase?
Well, that seems that seems reasonable. Ra's al Ghul wants to fake Oliver and his team out.
But
yeah,
I gain from that.
No, I agree. I agree with Joe on this one. I think it's all part of that's all part of a play by Ra's al Ghul. He knows Oliver is going to come after a couple of the people, you know, have him go out of the way, because the idea is if they think it's in the suitcase, they won't be afraid to hit the guys, blah, 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 whatever. They just need to not hit the suitcase. And then when he draws blood, yada, yada, yada. What's inconsistent is that it was only that one guy who had the suitcase. None of the other guys had the suitcase. Theoretically, he wouldn't have known which one he would have gone after first, so they should have all had suitcases.
I'm telling you, there's a decent amount of these things that pop up throughout the show if you're even, and I'm not paying attention for them. So I will say, so a couple cool things here is I like Roy's sacrifice. I know he did it so he could be out for a show, but I think it was kind of cool. I like how they got rid of Roy.
Is he leaving for some other show?
I think it's League of Tomorrow. Is that it? What's the name of that show?
Legends of Tomorrow. He's not in that.
I don't think he's on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive he is.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Really?
I'm gonna look it up because I like that actor.
You got Adam,
keep talking.
Adam Firestorm, Hawkgirl, Rip Hunter, White Canary, Captain Cold, Heatwave, and I think that's it. Then Barry and Oliver appear.
Huh. Well, I heard from production notes that was one of the reasons why they did that, was to get him out for another show. Maybe they were planning a different spin-off. I don't know, but still, I think it was a decent attempt with Roy. And I absolutely. So I have a weird feeling here. I don't like how things ended up with Ra's al Ghul. I really do think, and I thought this is what they were going for. I thought Nessa was gonna challenge him and kill him and become the new Ra's. I thought that would be awesome. Because there's a move to add a little more diversity to their offerings. You get a female Ra's al Ghul. You've got a Ra's al Ghul that already is off book, right? This is already not the Ra's al Ghul everyone expected. So
no, he left. Colin Haynes left the series, not for another. Not for Arrow.
Okay.
He has a couple of film roles lined up.
All right. Well, good for him. It did seem like he was underutilized at times. Anyways, so imagine if Nessa did take over the reign of Ra's al Ghul, and it could be where it's going, but that would have been pretty awesome. First of all, it would have shown that somebody who wanted the role, it would have been reasons behind the machination aside from like really lawyer jargon. That's how Malcolm got it. He's like, well, technically, he tortured me with the blade, and I survived. And the prophecy said, that's so unsatisfying.
Like, I agree. Like, I would have rather had Nissa become the demon's head, if only because I want Merlin just to be Merlin.
Yeah.
I mean, not the new demon's head. I'm like, no, you're Merlin. You're just, just become like a mercenary archer hitman, just a constant thorn in Ollie's side.
Yeah, I love
Barrowman. He was already doing that.
I love Barrowman. I love the way he was one of the few actors. I feel like a lot of the actors in the show kind of didn't shine because of what they were forced to do and say. But Barrowman is one of those people who could like eat those lines and spit out something that's entertaining. So
yeah,
it's very fun to watch. I love Barrowman. Screw up the scene and going like, yeah, sure, I'm your father, tough. It's just good.
So I want to bring up another frustrating, lovable moments for me is when they introduced like the second Count Vertigo. I'm like, yes, another Count Vertigo, just to capture him immediately. Like, God dang it, give me a supervillain Count Vertigo with the sonic gun.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of little things like that where there's like you just want more from one thing that they don't really deliver again. But
like when they introduced Solomon Grundy in season 2, I'm like, he's got to still be alive. He's got all that drugs running through him.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, they introduced Cyrus Gold. I'm like, that's Solomon Grundy.
You know what? I honestly think that they could, and I'm always wrong when I predict these things. So don't listen to me. But I think that they could, if the attempt for season 3's finale was to kind of wrap things up happily for for Ollie, then maybe we could have a little bit more of an upbeat show next season. Now that Flash has shown it would work.
I was reading an interview with the writer and the executive producer, and that is the whole idea. You know, they said they set this season's tone by killing off Sarah early on, knowing that it was going to be dark, but they want to come back. You know, they're coming back with Oliver happy because they want to give a bit of an upturn to the show.
Good.
They want to come in on a bit more of a positive note.
And I'm willing to forgive the most unforgivable thing that this series has done so far, which was turn Felicity, Oliver into a romantic relationship, because all relationships have to be romantic. I am very upset with the way that worked out. That seemed so... Like, it seemed... You know when you could tell a show or a project is taking notes from a producer? It seems very artificial. This almost felt like the notes were coming from the fan community.
Yeah.
Like, fans...
There's definitely fan shipping of Oliver and Felicity. I'm like, no!
All right. So I actually really liked the way they kind of did that at the end of season 2. I thought that was really, really good. I like that, you know, they did it and it was all part of a plan, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
and
they let her, the smart girl, actually, like, help defeat the villain or actually deliver the blow.
And the fake out, yada, yada, yada. And then she's kind of like, well, that seemed really convincing. And then Oliver's like, well, yeah, that was really convincing. I thought that was really good. Yeah. But they did that thing that television likes to do where they leave you off with the upbeat for the finale, but then they come back and they're like, oh, but the hero can't have nice things.
Right.
Right? So I would have been totally okay if they played with it for the rest of the season. Even if they didn't have a lot of chemistry together, it would have at least felt less cliched. Like, it would have felt less like that heel turn. Yeah. So I really liked how that ended in season 2. I thought that was actually really well done. It was one of the things I really enjoyed. It was just that we came back and they were like, I'm a hero and I can't have nice things.
And he kept doing it, like, half-heartedly. Like, he would go off to the side to fight Ra's al Ghul and say, by the way, I love you. I don't want you to wait for me or anything, but I do love you. So wait for me.
He's such a jerk.
Such a jerk, and I hated Ollie this year. And I don't think that was all intentional. Like, him being jealous of Ray and Felicity was cool. Like, that would have fit into what you were saying, James. Like, or everybody else. I forgot Wildcat's normal ego.
Ted.
Yeah, and Laurel. There was some sort of, like, tension there. Like, if he kept seeing everyone happy and he just hated it, that would have been cool. But he kept, like, screwing things up, and Felicity just had to be like puppy dog following her around. It just almost unforgivable. But if they're gonna go with that for the season 4, I will whitewash my memory. I'll say, all right, fine, they're an item, whatever.
So, like, one thing that they set up that I hope they, continue off of in season 4 was, like, they introduced Deathbolt in Arrow, and, like, at the end of the episode, it's like, yeah, he wasn't in Center City when the explosion happened. He didn't get his metahuman powers from the explosion. So then, like, they never touch on that again for the rest of the season. I'm like, that's a big thing. You think somebody would talk about that. Like, even the people in Arrow would talk about that. Or no, even the people in Flash should be talking about that.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about it. So let's move on to Flash, which was an amazing, amazing premiere series.
Yeah, I know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should really learn something from that.
I think that I enjoyed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. very much. We were going to talk about Flash first. So, Flash, like, wonderful acting, and the story, they knew where this was going from the beginning, and they had it all framed out perfectly, down to the point that we're talking about an alternate universe. We were in an alternate timeline this entire time. And that is genius. I don't know. How many of you are fans of the Flash comic?
I am loosely, but I'm mostly fans of the '90s series and Flash and Justice League Unlimited, and all the animated stuff. Like I like Jeff Johns' run, obviously. I love that stuff. Well, mostly the Rogues. That's when I got into all the Rogues.
It's a great. I mean, Flash, unlike Arrow, is a like premier. He's the top tier. He's a top tier hero in DC. So he has a lot of effects on the universe, and in fact, almost everything going on in DC recently, in the publication history at least, has had something to do with Flash. It was Flashpoint, then New 52, and all that. So one of the reasons why I think this is genius that they did the storyline that they did is, and this is totally nonsensical to people who don't read the comics, and that's fine. You could still enjoy it. But one of the reasons I think it's genius is DC saying to rival Marvel that they are working on their multiverse, and they are working on, like, one of the big things is that there are significant changes in the DC universe TV show than there is, like, even Gotham is on a different network in a different reality. And what they did with this Flash show is put down the groundwork, the legwork of saying there's a reason why it's different. And I think that was genius. I think it's a great idea, and I think you got to give these guys a raise. All right, who wants to geek out about something first? James, you haven't said something in a while.
I really liked the Flash this season. You know, there was a lot of things that the Flash did really right as far as television goes. It didn't stay too long on that whole not being a superhero thing, right? It was only the streak for like the first 5 episodes. It's been turning over stuff nonstop. So everything that looked like it was going to be like a long, drawn out, you know, like plot, or going to be like, oh, that's a secret our heroes are never going to find out, was always continuing to be flipped over, and they were moving on to the next thing, or having it affect the gang, you know. But it still remained really well formulaic, you know. Like it still got its central theme, which is, you know, Cisco, Caitlin, you know, kind of home base. Well, Barry goes, you know, like it managed to do the things I wanted as a genre fan, but I know the things it needs to do for the producers and the people at the CW to think, you know, like, oh, this is a show we can still continue to back, even though it's the highest rated show for the CW, so I'm sure they don't have any problems. Right. But yeah, it perfectly, they were, for whatever reason, they just hit the mark on this, and they were able to balance it. You know what I mean? Like, even like when you compare it to Arrow, Team Arrow was like out of the Arrow cave, and a lot of that formula was thrown out for this season, and maybe that gave it a little bit of more difficulty, you know, and kept it on rocky ground. The formula might be really good for Flash, and if they can keep this balance the way that it worked, I mean, it could be perfect. It can continue to be perfect. It just rocked it.
Joe?
Like, I love almost everything about the Flash. Like, it started off, I was getting worried because, you know, the pilot, you know, he's fighting, all right, Weather Wizard. Weather Wizard's dead at the end of the episode. Then Multiplex is dead at the end of the episode. I'm like, don't go off killing. There could be, like, that one. I hold out hope that there's still like a clone out there somewhere, so like Multiplex could come back. But like, you know, it started off, and then like after that, Grant Gustin's just so amazing at playing Barry. But like the writing is like, no, I can't go on killing all these people. That's not what we should do. Like, yes, thank you. But like, my only other major complaint is how annoyingly dumb Iris is written throughout most of the season. Like, her character can be so annoying at times, especially it's like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna be dating you, Barry, but I'm gonna mess up your relationship with these other people. I'm like, oh, Jay, really?
I actually felt that Iris, and in fact all the normal people surrounding Barry, all of it seemed plausible and believable to me. Like, yeah, it was frustrating to see her do that to Barry, but it seemed realistic. Like, I could see her not even being aware of these feelings, and it cast it in an entirely different light when you get the finale in there, and what Destiny has, like the effect of Destiny, like the fact that if they weren't brother and sister effectively, there would have been romantic chemistry there. That is interesting, and I do think they did a good job. I love Joe, and I love...
Oh my god. Joe's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god. Everyone is brilliant.
It's so... Like, I say this to most of my friends, but like the stark contrast between Detective West and Captain Lance is just like, how are you a captain and you can't pick up on any of this.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy is just like, yeah, clearly, everyone knows. Like that's the other like fun joke is like, Barry just ends up accidentally reveals his identity to everyone.
It's so good.
Shows up on Arrow, he just reveals his identity to everyone, or they reveal his identity for him.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this in terms of Arrow, but I think the line of the series, or at least of this season, I had it written down. Oh God. Here it is. The city is under attack. Must be May. That was good. Captain Lance does have some great lines.
Isn't it? Yeah, it must be Tuesday a lot of times.
Jesse Martin is great. We already talked about Grant Gustin, who can really deliver
the
the
actors
acting.
are so good.
He does a great job in it. It's a wonderful show, and my fear here is, and I hate to be weird about this, but Stephen Amell and actually the entire cast of Arrow season 1 were amazing, and then we started losing them. They started I'm so afraid because The Flash was so good. But one of my favorite things, and I think Joe, you could speak on this as well. There's a lot of things Flash does right, and one of them that I think they did amazing, just enough where it was fun but not too much, where it was like tedious, was the tie-ins to not only other DC properties and the Easter eggs and what have you, but specifically to the '90s Flash show.
Oh God, yeah. Like Tina McGee. It was like, well, is that canon? No, but that's Barry. That doesn't make sense, but I love it.
It's so good.
Like the actor Mark Hamill is the trickster. Like they use the actual trickster set.
Oh my God, yes, and like footage from the show.
Yeah, like the news footage of like the trial. It was like, and like
it started out from the beginning. I mean, Flash's dad is the Flash. It's John Wesley's ship.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about multiple universes, though, isn't that possible that is one of those multiple universes?
Yes.
Really good. Totally good.
And I love the fact that that's a kind of fan service that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
They took the loving care to make this a reality. They got Mark Hamill to reprise his role. I mean, that was
for the second time in his career he played or third time in his career he played the trickster.
Yes.
He voiced Mondalia, yeah.
Oh my! Which was an amazing episode that showed Flash knows how to deal with his rogues gallery by giving them their meds. It was so good.
The other thing I think that Flash did better than pretty much every other comic book show is the stinger at the end. Their end stingers are always the best. It's just like they know how to set up perfectly for the future or the next episode or just like the next season. Like like Arrow doesn't really have them. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot of time they fall flat or they're just like it's only when like it's a very story heavy episode does it really matter.
Right.
Like a lot of times it's just like here's a joke. Yeah, here's a cameo.
Yeah, we are 100% in agreement with that. The Flash stingers are amazing. They always develop the story a little bit in a way that makes you want to turn to the person next to you and say, I can't believe they're doing Grodd.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's amazing. And the other huge thing that Flash does perfectly is own itself. And this is important because I will say this. There isn't maybe Gotham. Gotham isn't. Gotham is isn't. I'm getting ahead of myself. So it's probably the only show that actually has a mainstream, mainline, major comic book hero character as the star. Green Arrow or Arrow isn't really the biggest star DC has. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Gotham City Police Department. Flash is significant. And it owns that character and owns what kind of genre the show is in. So you watch The Flash, and a lot of this is Cisco, right? That amazing character, because he will name things. He will try out superhero, supervillain names on things. And in the Flash universe, even Arrow characters seem to acknowledge, like, all right, we'll go for a name. We'll get a name because the mood and the setting is so different. I love it. I can't tell you how much that has an effect on the enjoyment of this show as something other than fake out genre television. this is legitimately a comic book TV show.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why like it quickly like rose to the top of being my favorite. Like I used to love like Arrow. Start off season 3, I was like, no, Arrow's still great. Then Flash is just like 5 episodes in. I'm like, no, Flash is so amazing. It gives me everything I want from a superhero show. Like, and then the crossovers happen. And then it's like, wait, he can run on what? He can do that? He can run on water?
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, I knew he was fast, but yeah, but you didn't tell me how he was that fast.
A few more, James. Do you have anything you'd like to add? There's a couple of call-outs I want of particular acting that happened, but I'll give you a chance to say something. You haven't said something in a while.
There's something I wanna bring up that I'm curious about your guys' thoughts on that I've read in a lot of reviews for Arrow and the Flash. So, and and we got this a lot when they brought the Avengers together too, but a lot of people are still going around and saying like it's weird to see these people existing in the same universe because it's kind of like, well, why don't they team up together all the time? Like somebody commented on that in like when Barry Allen came and broke everybody out of jail, or when Ollie came on the Flash and was the guy who ended up shooting Reverse Flash, who ended up being like the ultimate guy to take him down. It's like, why don't they just team up all the time? And just from one guy, guy who's into genre television and follows all these things and reads comics, like I feel like, is it weird that like I don't expect something like that? Like I feel like I'm used to all these things existing normally in their own universe or in their own area, and then when they need to, they come together for that story.
It's like, definitely an issue. Have you? So I don't know how much of you watch of Justice League Unlimited. I think it was actually
I've
even
watched a bunch of it, but not recently.
So here's one of the things that apparently the writers had to deal with. They literally had to spend a lot of effort in both Justice League and Justice League Unlimited figuring out what to do about Superman. Because you're like, but Superman's there. How can, like, he's too useful. He's too good at what he does.
That's why he's busy,
Right. So they have to constantly, and if you watch the show, you'll see there's an earthquake, there's a this, there's a that. He's on the other side of the galaxy. And I feel like they did that a couple times in Arrow with regards to Barry and vice versa in a fake actually.
Like I think they had some good lines of dialogue explaining how I'd love to come help, but I'm really busy with my boss right now. The guy that's training me is secretly a supervillain, and I have to deal with that. So I will show up and save you guys, but I have to go back.
And they're really, really fun, and it makes it, when it does happen, feel more special. Yeah, I do think that people have a problem with that. I don't know why, though. I'm with you.
Yeah, I have more trouble with Avengers than I do with these two guys. Because right now, these are the only two superheroes in that world that we know of. Like Firestorm, he's still starting off. But Avengers, especially with Iron Man, in Iron Man 3, and he's like, well, let's see, I could call Captain America, Thor, Bruce Banner is working for me. I have all these people at my disposal that would easily come help me with this terrorist. But no, I think I'm just gonna do it by myself and just not use any suits for a while. I'm like, Tony, you have plenty of time to call people.
Yeah. There are times where I feel like you run the risk when you create a franchise universe. Creating
Winter Soldier, that made sense. That happened in such a short amount of time, and they couldn't trust anyone. So I'm like, that's fine. But Tony, you had plenty of opportunity.
It's a weird thing that writers have to keep in mind now, which is odd because that's not the way they typically work. And whenever it's happened in the past, the only other times we've had shared universes in the past that I could think of were soap operas, where occasionally they'll do crossovers, but what can you do? You're not going to get this is a different situation. So far this year, I love the way they've handled it between the two shows, Arrow and the Flash. We'll see how well it goes. There are a couple of standout performances here. Carlos Valdez as Cisco.
He's so much fun.
So much fun. So much fun. And Tom Cavanaugh? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. As Dr. Harrison Wells.
Yeah.
So good.
In reverse.
I'm sad to see, spoilers. I'm sad that he's that plot line ended because I've just been enjoying him so much.
Well, I mean, who knows with what happened in the season finale? Because
Yeah,
if
who
that's
knows?
true, I mean, if what happens with the season finale, he never goes back in time to rewrite to kill Harrison Wells to take over his form.
Yeah, we could get a Harrison Wells as
You know,
opposed to
Oh yeah,
Real
and then
Bob
couldn't very.
Thane.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
but then the flip
Oh,
side
boy.
is he never goes back in time for Barry to go back in time to stop him to save. I mean,
yeah. What type of theory of time travel are we working with here, Flash?
Time travel is
That's the cool thing
confusing.
is I don't care. Like at no point did I was like, oh, this doesn't make any sense because I was like, yeah, all right, go for it, fun, yes.
I was like,
The
Eddie,
fact- do you
idiot,
remember the
no.
scene when they convinced? I think Barry convinced Cisco to make the time machine. At first, Cisco was like, I'm not doing anything to help you kill yourself, but I need you to make a time machine.
Go
on.
and oh god, yes, and then Reverse Flash just names drops Rip Hunter teasing for the next year.
Oh, the helmet that could Jay.
Yeah, Jay Garrick's helmet.
Yeah, and he's like, that's
and
my
then he's
cue to
like,
leave.
I've got to go now.
That's my cue to leave. I was like, yes, it is. James, did you even recognize the helmet? I'm not like geek checking you. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I recognize that helmet.
'Cause like I say, I watched this with people who have no idea what anything's going on, and
They
it's
did
just brilliant.
They did a whole episode of They did a whole episode in Young Justice that was like all full
Cool.
Flash backstory, and they did
Yeah.
everybody. So.
Yeah, they go and visit Jay Garrick and whatnot.
So yeah, there's a lot of amazing, fun things they're doing on that show, and I feel like they know where they're going. I feel like they know
I
everything
love
that's happening.
Captain Cold.
Captain Cold's amazing.
Oh,
God, he's great.
much fun to watch.
Golden Glider's also delightful. Like
Who doesn't like it? Thank you.
Heat Wave is okay. Like I love the actor. I just hate. He just has a flamethrower, and that just drives me crazy.
It helps at all. Yeah.
I'm like, that's just a flamethrower. Just if you shot liquid plasma, I'd be more impressed. But it's a flamethrower. I can't wait till they I mean, they've got to do Mirror Master by this point.
Yeah, they have to be digging through. And what's amazing is that they're getting them. They're getting all these. Flash probably has the second most important rogues gallery in the DCU, next to Batman.
Well, like I always used to rank it as like in terms of comic books, like Batman has the greatest rogues gallery,
right?
Then Spider-Man, then the Flash.
Yeah, I would even say that I think the Flash might be more recognizable than Spider-Man. No, maybe not.
No, Spider-Man's
No.
yeah.
I was for another reason thinking Wrecking Crew, and no, that's not.
Wrecking Crew is a Thor villain.
B-list. So really, there's just a lot of good stuff going on. We do a weekly during the season. We do a weekly Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show. We haven't done it for Arrow or Flash. But we want to. We definitely want to. So I feel like now's a good time since we're not really prepared to talk. Actually, do you want to talk a little bit about Gotham?
I can talk Gotham.
All right. So stay tuned to the end of the show where we talk a little bit about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Gotham is really fun, but it's not camp. I can't figure out a word for it. It's not camp, but it's certainly not serious. It's not camp, but it's not serious. It's somewhere in between.
IO9 likes to call it dark camp. I'm not sure. It's just weird. Like I watch it almost to nitpick it. Like there's some stuff that I really enjoy on it, and there's some stuff that I'm just like, this is so what am I watching? What is this?
Like so, Jada Pinkett Smith. Every scene of hers is so camp.
Yeah.
She's like she thinks she's in the '60s Batman show.
I love her so
But
much.
I think she does it really well. For
Yeah.
whatever
She does.
reason,
Incredibly
I
well.
enjoy watching her out of everybody on the show. I'm like, oh wait, hang on, she's on. Quiet.
She's like one of my I enjoy her, but she's still one of my least favorite parts just because of out of place she is. Like Penguin, love Penguin to death. I love young Bruce and young Selena and Alfred. I love their stuff. Jim Gordon when he's and Harvey Bullock, love their relationship.
Mhm.
Like it's like all right, sure. Now we're getting young so and so. I'm like, I don't care. This is great.
Yeah.
This could be young Joker, or this could be young Joker, or this could be young Joker, or this could be young Joker.
I feel like Gotham hit its stride, and I'm not sure if it changed necessarily. I think maybe our expectations may have, because the first few episodes I was like, not sure. I like it, but I'm a little. And then I suddenly was like, you know what? This is how I should be watching the show.
Yeah.
I should be watching it to delight in the weirdness, but not expect any sort of like consistency within anything.
Yeah, I was having trouble, and then I realized, oh, wait, it's an Elseworld, Joe. You love Elseworld.
Exactly.
Just watch it like it's an Elseworld. Because,
Exactly.
like, especially by the end of the season, it's like, fuck all your expectations. We're clearly not doing anything you've ever seen or wanted to see.
Yeah.
So here's something new and completely
wanted
different.
to see.
That was kind of the same thing with me. Once I let it go, I was like, all right, I can watch this.
Yeah,
I liked the last arc. It was very dark. I felt a little uncomfortable with how dark it was, but I think it will. I love the gangster fighting. I love the entire weirdness and the development. It's not a Begin show, a Batman Begins show, but it's definitely like an origin show of the oddness that is Gotham. It's definitely the Gotham Begins show in a way. And I love it. The finale, I wasn't too strong
Alfred
on.
How Not to Raise a Child show.
The Alfred probably killed the Wayne show. I wasn't strong on the finale, but I'm dedicated to the next season. I can't wait to watch it. Let's see what's going on with Barbara. Man, that's insane. All right, so like I said, we do a weekly Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show. I feel like we definitely want to add another show. As much as I like Gotham, maybe we could do Gotham, but I think we've got it like packaged together to do Arrow Flash. What do you guys think?
Arrow Flash and Tomorrow?
Oh. Next year is going to be busy because you're going to have Legends of Tomorrow, you're going to have the Vixen animated web series, and that's going to spin off into like her mainstream appearances. Supergirl's coming out. It's just like DC is just taking over television.
Oh man!
And you should just give up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just discuss the better Marvel shows on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know if I would give up on one of my favorite shows of all time because it was so wonderfully produced, and that you also agree. Oh, something's going on with your line, Joe. You're being muted for some reason. Oh no! No, it's a great time to be a geek watching TV. We hope you enjoy these Hangout shows. If you do, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/nonproductive, I believe. Thank you, Joe, for joining us. For joining us. Thank you. And thank you for, I think we were very civil, Joe. We did not kill each other.
Well, that's because we didn't talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for longer.
That's right.
Also, that's what I'm going to do once we get off the air.
Is what?
Kill you all.
Oh, all right. Thank you, James, for threatening us and for being the only person that put up their lower thirds. Because apparently that's it. Follow us on NonPro for some reason. Good night, everybody. Good night.